למען החי ורעי, למען החי ורעי, אדם בנה אתה בנה, שלום לך.
Hello. Today we're discussing Parsha Vayet Hanan. And I pleaded. Moshe basically tells the young Israeli generation that he pleaded with Hashem. That's how it starts. Moshe tells them that he pleaded with Hashem to allow him to enter the land of Israel, at which the answer was no. And instead, Hashem offered Moshe, basically told him to ascend a mountain and see the promised land from the top of the mountain, which Moshe did. Now, we know that Moshe pleaded with Hashem more than 500 times about allowing him to enter the land of Israel. It's very easy to understand. It was his lifetime project to bring the Jewish people to the land of Israel. And here, towards when he was nearly basically completed it, because they are on the west bank of the Jordan River and about to enter the land of Israel, and he cannot enter. Then Moshe continues reviewing the Torah. He describes the exodus from Egypt and giving of the Torah, receiving of the Torah by Jewish people and giving the Torah by Hashem, and declaring it as an unprecedented event in human history. And he says it in the following words: Has there ever occurred this great thing, or has the likes of it ever been heard? Did ever people hear the voice of God speaking out of the midst of the fire and live? You were shown to know that the Lord is God. There is none else beside him. These are the words which Moshe used to describe basically the historical, unprecedented event, of course. Moshe predicts that unfortunately in the future generations of Jewish people will turn away from Hashem and worship idols. Our modern idol? Yeah, we have got an idol too. Money. This is our modern idol. And they will be exiled from their land and scattered amongst the other nations. But from there they will seek God and return to obey his commandments. And this is what starts happening now. More and more people turning towards religion, towards their attempts. They feel that we actually lost something. I feel exactly the same way. As I felt that way for many years now, more than 20 years now. And that's what it is. We simply returning back to what once was part of our life. Our Parsha also includes the repetition of the 10 Commandments and the verses of the Shema, which declares the fundamentals of Jewish faith, the unity of God and the unity of Jewish people and our unity with God. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. One means not many gods. No. It's one God. There is nothing else besides him. There is only God, and we all part of his world. The mitzvot to love God and to study Torah, that is described by Moshe here in this parsha, and the order, the mitzvot to bind the tefillin on our left arm. These words as tefillin on our arms and heads. And we must inscribe the words of Torah on the mezuzot, affixed to the doorposts of our homes. These are the laws which Moshe tells the Israelites. And in essence, this is the whole parsha. So it's a mixture of description of relationships between God and people, between us, Jews, and Hashem, as well as a number of laws, rules, and traditions, and rituals and regulations. The parsha is talking about our commitment and our love between us, Jewish people, and Hashem. This parsha is telling us that our relationship with Hashem is the same as a marriage, a love commitment between the husband and wife. And you will say, all right, okay, what's going on here? You know, we have talking about love, and then we're talking about laws and rules and rituals and regulations. What love has got to do with it? Like they sing in this modern song. What love has to do with it? Well, let's try to look at it together. What is love, commitment, and marriage? In our modern secular society, the concept of commitment, the concept of people getting married and committing, one person committing to the other for the rest of his or her life, is actually a diminishing factor. For the last 80 years, if for 1,000 people were getting married, around about 80 to 90% in the 60s and 70s were getting married, and I have got statistics from 1935 till 2015. Well, the truth is that the percent of marriages taking place around the world on average per 1,000 people up until the 70s, late 70s, was slowly growing up after it had a big dip during the Second World War, naturally, and eventually it reached the point of 80 or 90%. Today, the percentage of people getting married around the world, this is pure cold statistics, is down to around about 20 or 30%. Depends whether we're talking about men or women. And that is a sad story as far as the desire of human beings to make a commitment for a lifetime. Rabbi Sachs, in one of his articles, writes, definition of commitment is falling in love with something and then building a structure of behavior around it for the moment when love falters. Life is not going easy, and sometimes you have an argument and this and that, and yes, there should be some rules and traditions which help sort of to maintain the relationship, to keep the marriage going. And this is what Vayetchanan Parsha is all about. A fundamental theological statement of what Judaism is all about. It is an attempt to integrate law, relationships, rules, and narrative into a single vision. What it would be like to create a free society under the rule of law, under the sovereignty of God. A society of justice, compassion, respect for human dignity, and sanctity of human life. And it is built around an act of mutual love and commitment by God to people and by people to God. Just listen to these famous words from the Shema in this week's Parsha. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might. In many respects, the Torah is the fundamental, foundational story of the sometimes turbulent marriage between God and often very stubborn, stiff-necked Jewish people. But it is a story of love. It's a love story. Again and again we hear of love in both directions. From the Israelites to God and from God to Israelites. And here are some examples. The Lord did not set his affection on you and chose you because you were more numerous than other peoples. For you were the fewest of the people, but it was because the Lord loved you. This is from this parsha. Another statement. To the Lord your God belong the heavens, and even the highest heavens, the earth and everything in it. Yet the Lord set his affection on your ancestors and loved them. And he chose you, their descendants, above all nations as it is today. It's a very clear statement of God's love to his children, Jewish people. The real question is how the vision of love is connected to the legal, halachic contents of this parsha. On one hand, we have this passionate declaration of love by God for his people. On the other hand, we have a detailed code of law covering most aspects of life for individuals and the nation as a whole. Immediately after they enter the land of Israel. Law and love are not two things that go obviously together. What has the one to do with the other? This is what I said earlier. What's the story? Again, I will refer to Rabbi Sachs. He says commitment is falling in love with something and then building the structure, behavior around it to sustain the love over time. Law, the mitzvot, halacha, is that structure of behavior. Love is a passion, an emotion, a heightened state, a peak experience. But emotional state cannot be guaranteed forever. You cannot be in love, patiently in love for all your life. It's impossible. We wed in poetry, but we stay married in prose. That's what Rabbi Sachs says. Which is why we need laws, rituals, habits of deed, rituals, and the framework that keep our love alive. I read a wonderful story about a happily married couple. The husband, with great devotion, brought his wife breakfast in bed every morning. I'm not entirely sure that he needed that she needed this breakfast or even wanted it every morning. But she graciously accepted it because she knew that it was his way of expressing his love for her. And it did indeed keep their love alive. After decades of marriage, they still were on a honeymoon. Isn't that beautiful? The same is our love for Hashem. Could it have done so without the rituals? Could we continue study Torah and express our prayers and our love to Hashem in our prayers without the 613 commandments that fill our days with reminders of God's presence? I don't think so. Whenever Jews abandoned the life of the commandments, within a few generations, they were losing their identity. Without the rituals, eventually love dies. With them, the glowing flicker of light remains and still can burst back into a flame of love. Not every day in a long and happy marriage feels like a wedding, and we all know that. But even love grown old will still be strong if the fond devotion of the rituals, courtesies, kindness are sustained. I know a story about an elderly couple. Actually, the story is told by Rebbe Akiva Tatz in one of the lessons I heard it. This couple came over to him. He's a doctor, by the way, surgeon, because the wife had a problem with her leg. And while the wife was taking off the stockings in order to show the doctor her sick leg, the husband bends down towards the doctor's ear and says to him, "Our leg hurts." Think about it. For him, his wife's pain was his pain. And that's the level of unity, devotion, which grows over years and years of a happy marriage. Jewish law is the structure of behavior built around the love between God and his people, so that the love remains long after the first feelings of passion have grown old and maybe a little bit not as strong. Hence this life-changing idea. If you seek to make love undying, build around it a structure of rituals, small acts of kindness, little gestures of self-sacrifice for the sake of beloved, of your beloved, and you will be rewarded with a quiet joy and inner light that will last you a lifetime. Thank you very much. I will see you in the next parsha.
למען בית השם אלוקינו אבק שטוב לה למען השם אלוקינו אבק שטוב לה השם אלוקינו אבק שטוב לה למען בית השם אלוקינו אבק שטוב